nature does a good job of balancing itself. The situation we're in is because nature, like the oceans, they capture about as much as they emit. The land also captures about as much as it emits. The problem is we're putting about 40 gigatons or 40 billion tons of CO2 in the air from man-made things. And so that's what we're not equipped to handle. And or nature isn't doing it. Nature does its own work, okay, but it's maxed out. It's not going to pull down all this other stuff that we're emitting.
Instead of actually removing carbon, what they're doing is mitigating carbon. So they're saying, we're not going to do this thing that would otherwise emit a whole load of CO2 or other greenhouse gases. On the one hand, yeah, that's great. Well done, guys. But wouldn't it be better if actually do something to help the existing problem instead of just not making it worse?
Right. And if you think about it in terms of like what we were talking about, that same thing I was thinking about yesterday, like even if we, in light of this issue, if all emitters were to reduce by 50% and emissions went down to 20 billion tons a year, we still got 20 billion tons to remove annually, and we're only doing 4,000. And so the mitigation alone is not enough. I think a really good lesson is know what you can do and then outsource what you can't, okay? And find people who do well. It's not just about money, it is about excellence, and especially in innovation. I definitely am not a top-down leader, I definitely I hire good people, and so I want their input, and we all come together. For instance, when we're innovating, and that's what we do. We have weekly meetings and we come together and we bring our team in. So we bring the tech team, we bring the IP team, we bring the sales team, we bring the directors or the managers, us, and we all come together.
A lot of the more traditional managers would argue against that because they would say, if you let people know how important they are, then they've got you over a barrel when they want a pay rise. But I firmly disagree with that point of view, I have to say.
I do too. Be more careful in your selection of people.
Absolutely.
My dad used to say, slow to hire, quick to fire. And that sounds pretty cold. And he was exactly the opposite. He was one of the best leaders I've ever known. And but what it means to me and what it meant to him is be very careful who you hire and find the exact right person that you're looking for. But if you find someone who's not a cultural fit or is not doing their job or is, impacting negatively on everyone, then cut it off, cut it loose. Don't let it, ferment in your culture, because it's going to cause more damage.
Yes, completely agree with that. Yeah, I think there's a balance to be had with this slow or quick to hire, definitely, because I think it is quite easy as well to go too far the other way and you just never fill the role because you're holding out for the perfect person who doesn't exist.
I've done it. It doesn't always work that way.
What's it like being a female executive in a science and tech company? And what advice would you have for young women who might be considering a similar career path?
Well, I found this in tech somewhat, and definitely in land development when I was doing that for 8 years, is being underestimated. And sometimes take those negative responses, and that way I would just be overlooked, or I was just dumb blonde, doesn't know anything, and I would take that and flip it on its head and use that to my advantage. So, because when you're underestimated, then you can sneak up, you can do a sneak attack, they don't see it coming. And so, just don't underestimate yourself just because other people are underestimating you. I think that if you are in a position of power, and even if you're not, but definitely if you're in a position of power, you have an obligation to society, to community, to humanity, to make things better.